Yep.
You guys can see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So if at any point there's like issues like with hearing me or anything, just let me know. I have two computers here with me actually, so like I'm also watching this just so I can see like if anyone types a question or anything. But welcome to the IGV Education webinar. Today we're going to talk about how to do approvals and how to work with our IR partners. Thank you guys so much for coming. And know that the output, like I said, it's being recorded. So if anyone that's not here wants to get the education, then they just need to watch the video afterwards. So the agenda for today, oops, I think I left something out, is first we'll just do a quick check-in, see who's here. Then we'll talk about the approval member, JD. Then we'll talk about the approval SOP. I will explain what an SOP is when it comes time. And then we'll talk about who are our entity partners. That's what EYPs is, how to work with entity partners, talk about expectation setting, and then we'll have some Q&A. So for check-in, I'd just like to know the name of everyone and their LC. I think pretty much everyone here, but not everyone, or most people here, but I don't know if everyone knows each other. And then why did you want to become either an approval member or a VP, depending on your position? And then just a random question I found online is what is something you really resent paying for and why? But I can begin just to get it started. But my name is Casey. I'm the MCVP IGV. So I'm on the national team and I am the head of the IGV product. And I wanted to become MCVP IGV because I really love this product. And I like the fact that it's like a new product and I like the challenge of like starting something new. And something that I really resent paying for and why, student loans, because they're expensive. And yeah, that's it. Does anyone else want to go next?
I'll go.
Okay.
So what is your name? I'm Elena. I'm from Isaac in Austin. Why did I want to be an approval member? I wanted to be an approval member because I'm actually going abroad this summer, and so I worked a lot with the approval members in Portugal. And so I wanted to take a stab at seeing how it's like for Isaac and helping people come here.
Awesome.
And something that I really resent paying for, at my university, I had to pay for a blue book like every time you have an exam, and it's just so annoying that other schools are provided for, but not at ours.
Okay, that's a good one. Okay. I would imagine that's annoying. Thank you, Elena. Who's next?
I'll go next, I guess. So was it introduction and then, okay. So I'm Max from App State. I applied for VP because I went abroad last summer and I wanted to give others the opportunity to kind of experience what I experienced. And then something I really resent paying for, this laptop, because it kind of sucks and it's been breaking ever since I bought it, like less than a year old.
Okay, thank you, Max. Okay, Brian also joined us, so we have 3 more people left: Teresa, Brian, and Alejandra.
I can go.
Okay.
I'm Teresa. I'm from IGV in Seattle, so UW Seattle. Why did I want to become an approval member? Well, my VP nominated me. I didn't really know that it was like a program, I guess, or like something that I could do until she told me, because I'm pretty new. But I thought it'd be a really good opportunity to be more involved in ISIC and good leadership. And I thought it'd be interesting too. What is something I really resent paying for? Sometimes when I go out shopping, this is more than one, but like sometimes when I go out shopping, I'll buy like a shirt that I think I'll wear that's kind of like out of my comfort zone, and then and it's just sitting in my closet. So
nice. I have a lot of those too. Yeah. Thank you, Teresa. Okay, 2 more left.
I'll go. Hi everyone, my name's Alejandra and BPIGV of New York City. I decided to apply for BP because I really like IGV. Was my first function as a newbie, and I thought it was really cool to see like grow and make it go through like in the 30 years. I wanted to be part of that. And what's the other question?
What is something you really resent paying for and why?
Overpriced stuff in New York.
Okay, valid. Like everything in New York, really.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Alejandra. Okay, who's next?
What's the question?
What is your name, your LC? Why did you want to become an approval member? And if that's not your position, just why did you want to become whatever like position you're in now? And then what is something that you really resent paying for and why?
My name is Justin. I'm in New York. And something I resent paying for is food.
Okay, that's a good one too. Thank you, Justin. Okay, Brian, you're last.
My name is Brian. I'm in
Hi, Brian.
New York City, IGV. Hi, Justin. I want to become an approval member because I like to see people following their dreams of going to new places and doing what they're doing and having a good impact on whatever work they're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
I want to help them achieve that.
Okay. And something you resent paying for?
I don't really resent anything.
Okay. Sounds good.
That's a good answer.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, everyone. So I do ask that while I present, just everyone mute themselves because like the background noise can be a bit distracting. But if you want to speak up at any point, you're welcome to. Just like take yourself off of mute so that I can see that you're speaking.
Wait, can I just ask a question before you start?
Sure.
You said I'm like this call is about being interested in something in a position.
So each IGV team is supposed to have assigned one approval member, meaning that they're in charge of like matching like applicants to actual opportunities.
So I'm sure Alejandra is doing that.
No, actually, we have a new member. Her name's Sandra, but like she's usually really busy with work. Mm-hmm. So I assigned her that task because she won't be able to sell. But like she's having trouble going to the floor right now. Also, I think her email is ruizg@isaac.net.
Luis.
Ruiz, so RUIZ.
RUIZ. Okay, give me 1 sec, guys. I'm gonna invite her.
Alejandra, did you ever get those 5 people that you were talking on the phone with?
I responded.
What is it? Andrea?
No, it's Ruiz. My
computer's freezing. RU.
Mm-hmm. IZ.
Mm-hmm.
G. @isaac.net.
Okay. Cool. So hopefully she can join the call. Sorry, that looks crazy. Okay, so now I'm going to start presenting. So just make sure that you mute yourselves. And like I said, if you have questions at any point, just feel free to unmute yourself and ask. So the first thing that we're going to go over is like quickly like what the approval member JD is. So JD is short for job description. And basically the responsibility of the approval member is that they are the main responsible for approving EYPs as entity partners to IGV opportunities of their LC. And they maintain communication with entity partners and partners. When I say partners, I mean camps throughout the selection process. They approve solely from entity partners, meaning that they don't approve people that are not a partner of us. And they ensure alignment with national approval policies, processes, and timelines. They work to create the quickest and most efficient process for all stakeholders involved, applicants and partners. And they update the national approval tracker with all entity partner applicants and their statuses. So that's something that I'll be showing you guys later. Justin, I muted you just because I heard the typing. So if you need to speak, you'll have to unmute yourself through Hangouts. So they report to myself and the VP. So I'm going to have like a lot of hands-on support for you guys because like there hasn't been like a lot of education yet on this. And so I want to make sure that like everything runs as smoothly as possible. And that's why we have like, our WhatsApp group and everything. But that means that you'll still be like, of course, reporting to your VP as well. And then the KPIs, the key performance indicators of this are like number of entity partner applicants and then especially like processing times. So how long does it take from your opportunity to be opened to going to finding someone that's accepted to it and then from accepted to approved. And approved is once the person actually has their visa and has submitted all of their documentation and has actually paid. And then how long does it take from an opportunity being opened to it being actually approved, because we want to make sure those times are as fast as possible. And then the measure of success is the % of open to approved with entity partners specifically, because that's something that we're really pushing and something I'll talk a bit more about later on. So what we're going to get into right now is the approval standard operating procedure. So SOP is just standard operating procedure. It basically is just like a process that we have for doing approvals. And just a forewarning, it's like a lot of detail. And you guys are going to have this output afterwards. You'll have the PDF of this. So like if you feel overwhelmed at any point, like I said, you can ask questions, but also just know that like you will have this output afterwards and you can refer to it whenever you're doing approvals. So from going to open to accepted. So you open an opportunity, it's live on ISEC.org. Anyone can apply to it that's on the platform. And we want to find people that are actually accepted to the opportunity.
All right. Let's go to number 12, the last one.
Okay, I muted Andrea just because I could hear the background noise. So to begin with, so the opportunity has been published online by Casey. So the only person that can actually publish an opportunity online is myself. And once it's been done, then you as the approval member need to promote the opportunity to your IR partners. For example, sending it to them on our WhatsApp groups that we have with them. So right now you guys are not added to those, but you will be. And basically there are groups that are with like our IGV teams and the OGV teams of the other entity, mostly the VPs, but in this case, like the approval members will be added to those. And so then once you actually receive applicants for your opportunity, if they are from an IR partner, we're gonna skip to page 3. But if they are not from an IR partner, then what you need to do is, if you are like kind enough, then you'll send them a rejection email thanking them for applying and rejecting them on XBA. You can just choose to reject them on XBA if you want, because the emailing can take a bit of time because you have to copy and paste each of their emails. But the way that you would do that on XBA is this. So this is the way that it would look. You would go into opportunities and then you'd go to your specific opportunity. And then you'd go to the applications for that, like right here. And you can see all the people here that applied for your opportunity. And so you'll be able to hit reject. Like there will also be an accept or reject button here. And for anyone that's not an IR partner, then you'll hit reject. And then so let's say that it was an IR applicant. So let's say that the partner you're working with is like Camp Firewood, and they require videos from the applicants. So we're gonna go on to the next page and I'll explain what happens with that. So this is what like the timeline for a video process looks like. And what I mean by that is basically having applicants actually submit videos to apply for the opportunity. So it means that they're not actually going to interview with the camp or anything. It means that like their like so-called interview is actually just going to be a pre-recorded interview, but they will be answering a set of questions that the camp gives you to ask to them. And this is like a quicker process than if we have to like actually involve the camp, like doing like a virtual interview with the applicant. So basically on day 1, you receive an application from an IR partner and immediately email the applicant and the EP manager. EPM is EP manager. What that means is like, let's say that here in the US, you guys like want to apply for an OGV. There's someone from ISEC, let's say it's ISEC in Austin, that is on the OGV team that's taking care of you and helping you along that process. That's the EP manager. And so basically whenever you want to like contact the applicant, you should also contact their EP manager. And you instruct them to 1, record a video of themselves answering questions that the camp sent you. So you'll already have these questions from the camp. And then 2, you're going to send it, you want them to send it to you within 48 hours. Because like I said, we want this process to be as quick as possible. And so we need to give them a deadline so they know that they can't send it to us in like 2 weeks. And then thirdly, you want to let them know that if they don't send it to you within 48 hours, then they will not be considered for the opportunity. And then they're probably going to take it a lot more seriously and actually submit the video to you in time. So 48 hours happens, we're on day 3, and you receive the videos, you review them, and you determine which of those applicants you want to shortlist. So by shortlist, basically, I mean like taking the most qualified applicants and giving that list to the camp. And then you reject any unqualified applicants on Expo, which I just showed you how to do beforehand. And then what you'll do is send the camp the shortlisted applicants' videos with instructions to review the videos and let you know within 72 business hours which of these applicants they do and don't want. And so this is important too, because camps tend to work really slow. And so we need to let them know like ahead of time that like we need them to be responding to us like really quickly, because like visa processes can be involved, and our partners have a expectation that like we will try and work as fast as we can. So then we get to day 6, 72 hours later, and we received the list of applicants that are accepted and rejected from the camp. So they emailed that over to us, and so we reject anyone that was not selected on EXPA, and then we send out emails to whatever applicants were accepted with instructions on, I didn't insert the page here, but I'll show you, with further instructions that I'll mention later, and accept them on EXPA. And so then let's say that there's a different requirement. Let's say that the camp is really picky and they really want to be involved with the interview process. So they want to interview the applicants themselves. So what we'll do is we go to pages 5 through 6 for further instructions. So this is the timeline for the interview process. So this is the longest and the most least ideal for us. But basically, let's say it's day 0, like the opportunity hasn't been opened or the opportunity has been opened. And what you need to do is ask the camp to fill out a doodle form for the week following the day the opportunity is opened. So what I'll show you an example of what I mean. So let's say that an opportunity is opened on the 1st of April. The opportunity is opened on Sunday the 1st. What you need to do is ask the camp to fill out a doodle for basically all of the business days in the week following that. And so then this way you'll know ahead of time, like when your applicants need to actually interview with the camp, and you can schedule that as soon as possible. Does that make sense? Does anyone have questions so far? Okay, so then we get to day 1. So we receive the applicants and determine which applicants to shortlist. Reject anyone that's not an IR applicant on EXPO or just doesn't meet any of the requirements. And email all of these applicants and their EP managers with instructions to fill out the doodle of the camp's availability within 24 hours. So you want to schedule these interviews as soon as possible. So set the expectation that they need to fill out that doodle within 24 hours. And if they don't, then we won't consider them. And then we get to day 2, and everyone has filled out the doodle form. So you get all of their availability, and then you email them and the camp separately, informing them of the interview time. So with the camp, you give them the list of everyone that they're going to interview with, and the time, and the name, and like the country from wherever the applicant is from. And then individually, you will email the applicants and their EP managers, letting them know like, hey, you have an interview with Camp Firewood on April 10th at 10 a.m. And make sure you always say what time zone it is, and honestly send them a Google Calendar invite, because a lot of times lately we've been having people miss their interviews because they're confused by time zones. And when you send it on Google Calendar, it'll automatically update to whatever time zone they're in. So that's like a good case practice that you can use also. And so then we get to the days of actually hosting the interviews. So interviews are held. Ideally, someone from ISEC will be in the interview if possible. If not, it's okay. It's just more for us to kind of facilitate the two stakeholders meeting each other, but actually the camp is the one that holds the interview. Like they ask all of the questions. And then basically the camps give you the final acceptances or rejections by day 13. And so then anyone that's not selected, again, reject them on EXPA, and then send out emails to the accepted applicants with further instructions that I'll explain in a bit. And then let's say that the most ideal thing happens and the camp says, no, we trust you guys to take care of the process. We don't need any videos. We don't need any interviews. You can choose who the EPs are. And this has happened. It's not common, but it's something that we try to push for. And if that's the case, then we go to page 7 and we see here that it's a much shorter process when the camp is not involved and ISEC has the final say. Basically, we promote the opportunity, and once you receive applications from IR partners, you email them immediately. And basically, it's the same kind of thing with the videos as we mentioned before, but you're the only one that's screening the videos. So you don't need to send them to the camp and wait 72 hours for them to check the videos. You just do it yourself. So everything else is the same except for that. And so then you give the applicants about 48 hours to send the video. And then on day 3, you can review them and then accept and reject applicants. And then, of course, send out emails letting people know if they're accepted or not. And then you send the camp the list of the people that you have accepted and the country that they're from. Questions so far? So basically, there's 3 different ways that the selection process can go. The most ideal is definitely having no involvement from the camp whatsoever. Second most is just like sending them videos. And thirdly, the least ideal is to have them do the interviews. And as I mentioned before, the camp will do all the question asking, so don't worry about that. And if possible, it's more ideal to have an icicer in the interview itself, but if not, it's okay. So then let's say that finally we accept someone. Let's go to the next page. Or excuse me, not the next page, but this page. So something to keep in mind actually before we move on is that when you're shortlisting, when you're giving them certain applicants, you want to kind of give them more applicants than there are positions because you want to give them a variety of choices. And so I kind of set like a standard for what's the most ideal number of applicants to shortlist based on the number of opens you actually have. So let's say that New York City opened an opportunity for 2 positions at a camp. Before they should send any list to the camp of applicants, they should wait until they have at least 4 qualified applicants to do so. But like I said here, use your best judgment to determine if our partners are taking too long to apply and if you want to shortlist less applicants than what is the standard. So if it's been a week since you told the camp you would give them a shortlist and you've only gotten 3 applicants and not 2, then it's okay. This is not a hard rule or anything. It's just kind of use your best judgment, but this is the most ideal so that the camp at least has some variety and has some options of who they would like to choose. Questions so far?
I have
yes.
A little bit more.
Yeah.
So, can you explain what an IR partner is and why if we receive an applicant from not from our IR partner, then why we reject them?
Yes, I have a section on that actually after this. So do you mind if I answer it then?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, awesome. I promise I will answer it. It's actually in the presentation just a bit later, but it's a good question and I'm glad that you're asking it. But I will answer it in a bit. So something to note. So one of our IR partners is Egypt, but something to note about working with Egypt is that Egyptian applicants must provide proof of their visa before we can shortlist them. We don't actually accept anyone from Egypt that does not have a visa. And the reason for that is just that it's very unlikely they will obtain a visa in the current political climate. But in the conversations I've had with their MCVP OGV, she has told me that there's actually LCs at American universities and stuff that tend to have a large population of the students there tend to have visas already, and that makes them really ideal candidates. And also Egyptian applicants tend to have very good English skills, and also they work very quickly. So they're definitely an ideal partner to have, but only if they provide proof of their visa. And the thing that's really important to note here is that we don't even want to put them on a short list if they don't send you proof of their visa, because not Egyptian specifically, but unfortunately it happens sometimes where an applicant will say that they have the visa just so that they can kind of make the interview, and then the camp will like them and they'll say, yeah, we want this person, and then we'll find out that they don't actually have the visa. And that's really frustrating because unfortunately it's unlikely that an Egyptian will get the visa at this point. But the people, oops, someone.
I have a question.
Oh yes, your speaker was acting out a bit, but I think you're okay now.
Okay. So as far as when the camp wants to be involved in the interview and we make a short list for them, I know Max has been doing pre-interview stuff, and one girl didn't get through because her English skills are not up to par. So are we supposed to make an interview with them before we send them to the camp, or what is the process for that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would just do it case by case. We try to set expectations with our IR partners that only people that have pretty good English skills should be applying in the first place. But it's kind of, that was the camp, because I opened that opportunity and that camp specifically asked me for us to do that. So if they ask of that, then we should definitely do it. Otherwise, it's not completely necessary, but it is not a bad idea. It's just that it does slow down the process even further. So if they ask it, it's totally fine.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, thank you for asking it. Okay, awesome. Anyone else? Okay, so then the next thing that we'll have to do, we have to make sure that the EP, the exchange participant, is marked as interviewed by their home entity. So we're the host entity. The home entity is OGX. And if it's green, like you see here on EXPA, it'll be marked. If it's green, that means that they are marked as interviewed. If it's gray, it means that they are not marked as interviewed. And that's a problem because we cannot like physically click any other buttons on EXPA if they're not marked as interviewed. So in the case that were to, if they were not marked as interviewed, then you won't be able to accept them until they're marked as such. So send an email to their EP manager and ask them to mark the EP as interviewed. And then if you're having a hard time reaching out to the EP manager, you can always tell me and I can talk to the MCVP OGV of the other country. And then if they're marked as interviewed, then let's move on. Yeah, so basically if you need to contact an EP manager, their email is always here, just for like data privacy. I did not like promote anyone's emails here. That's why I hid them. But basically on EXPA, like when you're looking for an EP manager email, it'll be right here. And then like the actual applicant's contact info will be here. And so then the accept button will show up here. And that's the button that you'll hit as soon as a camp or you decide that they're the applicant you want to take. So that was it from open to accepted. We're going to move on now to talking about the approval part, and this is where we get into like visa stuff. So let's start. The first thing that you'll do after they're accepted is email the EP and EP manager notifying them of the EP's acceptance. And we have 3 different scenarios. Either this person needs a visa, they have a visa, or they're from a visa waiver country. So anyone that's from a visa waiver country, you can click here. There's a link that'll take you to the State Department website, and it'll give you the most up-to-date information on which countries are visa waiver. Typically, it's like Western European countries. I know like Chile is on there, and then like Taiwan, so a couple Asian countries. So just make sure like you check that out so you have a understanding. But basically, let's say you have an applicant that's from Mexico, and so they would need a visa if they don't already have one. So what they need to do is submit a Podio form. So Podio is like an online project management tool that we use. And basically they need to submit this Podio form asking for an invitation letter. And an invitation letter is basically a letter written on behalf of both ISIC US and the camp that's hosting them, stating that we ask that this individual is granted the tourist visa, the business tourist visa, the B1, B2 visa. And this, like, I think it's not like guaranteed to like help them, but it typically does help a bit when they go to their visa appointment with this form. So we ask that they like request this as soon as possible, because I actually have to draft it, and then I draft the letter, and then we send it to the camp, and then the camp signs it, and then we give it to the EP. So have them do that as soon as possible, and then instruct them to book their visa appointment as soon as possible. So if you go on the State Department website, you can also see how long it takes on average to like get a visa appointment. You can put in like the city and the location, and then it'll tell you like on average in Cairo, it takes this long to get a visa appointment. Not that anyone from Egypt would need to apply for one, because we wouldn't work with them, but so make sure that they book the visa appointment as soon as possible. And let's say that they go to the appointment and they're rejected for the visa, then unfortunately, like, we can't take them. That's out of our control. And we tell them that we have to reject them, and then we'll have to tell the camp that they would need to select someone else because they were rejected for the visa. If they do, however, receive the visa, then we need to send them the Podio passport and visa form to upload all of their documentation. And what we want to do with that documentation, I'll mention next. But note that we don't approve anyone until we have this documentation. Then let's say someone does have a visa. So you just send them the form that I mentioned here, and they need to upload copies of their passport and their visa. And then I will explain further in a bit. But let's say that they're from a visa waiver country. So what they need to do is take the ESTA. So this is the electronic system for travel authorization. So if someone's from a visa waiver country, they can't just like come to the US without doing anything. Like, they actually have to apply for authorization through the ESTA, and it takes it's $14 for them to apply for it. And basically it's just the government authorizing them to enter the US for 90 days or less. And so make sure that when they take the ESTA that they write down their application number. Everyone has a unique application number, and then send them the same form that we talked about here. And they need to upload a copy of both their passport and the ESTA application number. And then you actually need to go on the ESTA website. So anytime that there's something underlined here, there's a link. So you can go back to this and click on it. But you can check their ESTA status using the application number and the information that's on Podio. And so then once you check this and then you see that they are deemed eligible for visa waiver, we move on to the next page. And if they are not eligible for visa waiver, then they would actually have to apply for the visa. Any questions so far? I know that it's kind of like a lot of details. Okay, I think someone has a question.
Yeah, so like sometimes I know when I was like trying to find the documents for the audit, sometimes like they will send to our email their passport and their visa. But like if they send it through like Podio, where do we find it in Podio?
It is on the it's on the IGV global volunteer tab. So if you are not on that page, like you should be, I believe all the VPs emails are connected to that workspace. If not, like I'll make sure that all the approval members are. But like basically on Podio, there's like a web form, which like you cannot actually like edit the information. It's just like kind of like submitting a survey. That's like they would see the external version, and then we see the internal version. So we see all of the submissions and everything. But you have to be like on the Podio workspace. And if you're not already, we can talk at the end of this when we're done going through this, and I can make sure that like everyone is on it.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Okay, cool. So then what we do is we actually check Podio to ensure that all the documents are valid and have been uploaded. So when I say valid, I mean that they none of them expire during the exchange itself. So we have to make sure that someone's passport is valid for the entire duration of their exchange, and same with the visa. And then once you check all of the documentation, it's been submitted, it's valid, it's not going to expire during the exchange, then the EP needs to sign the acceptance note. So this is something that they do on EXPA. So this will tell you right here if we are waiting for the EP to sign the acceptance note or not. And so this is something that like you can instruct them to do, and their EP manager will also be helping them do this. And then if the EP did not sign the acceptance note, just like contact the EP and their EP manager asking them to do so. And as soon as they do, then what they need to do is all of these things. So they need to take the initial LDA, the leadership development assessment. Basically this, they take this at the beginning and the end, like basically, actually, excuse me, before the experience starts, they take this because it's supposed to measure like their qualities of like solution orientation, their ability to empower others, their ability to be a world citizen, and I'm totally blanking out. Solution orientation, empowering others, all the four like parts of the like the LDQs, the leadership development qualities that ISIC instills in leaders, and then they also need to pay their home entity the like OGX fee. So like here in the US, an OGV costs $500. And then they also need to be marked as approved by their EP manager. So note that this actually can happen like sometimes, depending on like EXPA, I think like either one can happen first. Like either we can approve them first or their EP manager can approve them first. But we cannot do anything until they like do the initial LDA and are marked as paid. I forgot self-awareness. That was the fourth one. So basically, like the idea is that at the beginning of their experience, before the experience starts, they take an assessment and it measures how much they have of each of these four qualities. And then after their exchange, they also are asked to take this assessment. So it shows like how the ISIC exchange has helped them improve these different qualities. So sorry if I made that confusing, but if you have questions, you can ask. And so then once they're marked as paid, and then they take the initial LDA, leadership development assessment, then you basically would mark them as approved on EXPA. And if they didn't do them, then you just have to make sure you contact them and their EP manager, asking them to do all these three things. So that was it. I know it's a lot. Do you guys have questions about anything? We're going to talk about IR partners and stuff now. So if you have questions about the process itself, we can come back to it at the end also. So who are our IR partners? So I can use the words like IR partners in entity partners interchangeably. They mean the same thing. But basically, Mexico is our #1 partner. So they're our gold IR partner. I'll explain what each of these tiers mean in a second. But basically, we work with every LC in Mexico. Every local committee in Mexico we work with. We don't only work with the select few. And then silver IR partners are France and Italy. We work with all of the LCs in France, and then Milan, Torino, and Venice in Italy. That's like our newest IR partnership. So there may be some adjustments to who we work with in Italy, but for now, those are the 3. And then bronze IR partners are Colombia, specifically EYPs, Javeriana, Norte, and UPB, and Egypt. We work with AAST, GUC, MIU, and New Cairo. And then for Puerto Rico, we work with all LCs. So these are the people that we would like to be bringing into the US to come on our global volunteer opportunities. And the way that like I have the tier systems basically means that like when you have someone that's a gold IR partner, they have priority above all of the other IR partners. So let's say that you have enough applicants for your opportunity, so you can shortlist only these applicants first, then you should do so. So if you have like 2 open, let's say you have 2 open spots and you have 4 Mexicans that applied to it, you should just like shortlist those 4 Mexicans first before shortlisting any other IR partners. Then when we get into silver IR partners, basically they have priority above bronze partners. And if you've shortlisted all of our gold IR partners that have applied, or if there just were no Mexicans that applied to the opportunity, then you would shortlist these applicants next. So shortlisting France and Egypt, or excuse me, France and Italy. Then lastly, we have the bronze IR partners. So after you've shortlisted all gold and silver partners, or if no gold or silver partners even applied, then these are the ones that will be shortlisted next. So let's say that you have an applicant from Firenze in Italy. Do you shortlist them? Can someone tell me? I need a verbal yes or no. Do you shortlist them?
It depends if someone from Mexico didn't apply first.
Kind of. That's good. That's like kind of the idea, but the trick question is that no, because they're not considered an IR partner because they were not one of these 3 LCs. So even though they're Italian, they're not from Milan, Torino, or Venice. So we only want to work with the specific LCs in each of these countries. And the reason is that like in my conversations with the MC members from those countries, they told us that they want us working specifically with these ones. And also these are the ones that either, like for Italy, these are the ones that in Italy, like typically they're probably going to have better English skills. And same in Colombia, and also like in Egypt and Colombia, these are the LCs that probably have applicants that have visas already. So there's certain reasons that we work specifically with some LCs, like in Egypt, Colombia, and Italy versus others. But that was good though. You have the right idea about prioritizing Mexico. And so what if, like a concern I know is like, what if I don't get enough or any IR partner applicants? The answer is to talk to your entity partners. So how exactly are you supposed to work with entity partners? Sending them your opportunities as soon as you open them. So send them the project booklets and flyers for them to use while promoting your ops. So these are something that you can actually request. I'm going to create like a template for these, and so that way like you can put in your own information, but it's not something you have to like totally recreate every time. And then just like maintain very constant communication with them. Even if there's no updates, let them know that there's no updates if it's been a while since you last spoke with them. And just set really proper expectations with them, because our timeline, like our processes can be a bit slower, and it's something that we need to improve, but like they need to be aware of how our processes work. And also like going on a global volunteer in another country typically isn't as strict, or like the process isn't as hard as it is in the US. So they need to be aware of that. And then just like attend national IR calls. So something that I'll be setting up in the near future are calls between like our approval members and our VPs, and then like the OGV teams of other countries. And so I realized that I didn't actually answer the question of like, why do we work with IR partners? I think it was Teresa that asked it, but basically like ISIC US has like a really hard time. Like within like the last year, we had a really hard time of getting applicants that were like going to probably get the visa we were getting a lot of applicants that unfortunately came from countries where it was unlikely that if they applied for the visa that they would actually get it. And so that meant that like we didn't have like a lot of like an IR strategy before. So that's like one of the big reasons. And then also like within the ones that are in the Americas region, like it's very like purposeful to be working with those ones because like they're within the region. Mexico specifically, like, and also all of them, their timeline aligns with ours. So like, for example, I think like Germany might be one where they send people on OGV in different months than when we have IGV opportunities open. So like logistically speaking, all of these entities like will have OGV pipeline for when our opportunities will be open. And then like Mexico specifically, it's just very purposeful to be working with them because of all of the things that are going on politically. And like just a lot of them might already have people that will have a visa. So there's like a lot of different reasons for it, but it's actually, even though like a lot of people do want to come to the US on an exchange, like, or at least that's what we think, like the people that actually do apply are unfortunately probably not going to be able to enter the country. And that's just something that's kind of out of our hands. But if you ask any of the people that have open opportunities right now, they'll probably tell you like that's the case. Like they're getting applicants that probably won't be able to enter the country. So there's like a lot of different reasons for it. And then of course, like also aligning value delivery and like having less people to, it's like easier to like build relationships with people and then therefore like provide better experiences for our EYPs when there's like less people to actually be working with. So when you're working with the same like VPOGVs like over and over again, like you're going to build better relationships and it's going to be easier to work with one another. And that way you can also like align standard delivery and everything like that. So there's like a lot of reasons that we work with IR partners. Does that kind of clarify it for you, Teresa?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, awesome. So as I mentioned, here, like you want to send them project booklets and flyers. So like if you want to request those materials, I want to make sure that they're brand aligned because basically it's the materials that their OGV teams will be promoting. So you can request these materials here at this link, bit.ly, IGV materials. Know that it's all undercase. And then also we have a national approval tracker. So to like help you guys with the approval process, I've actually been doing some of the shortlisting in terms of, or at least like writing down which applicants are from IR countries and putting like the status of each of them, like whether they're applied, accepted, or approved in a tracker. And so I'll show you guys how this looks like because this is what the approval members will be using.
Wait, can I just ask one quick question?
Yes.
So say, because I know I was emailing somebody and they were worried about like making like a really big commitment like right away. And they kind of wanted to just like maybe find out more. So before I say I like reached out to like another global partner, could they like send me like a short list of people that they think like would be a good fit, and then I could just kind of show them and be like, hey, so like these are just some of the volunteers that we could potentially set you up with, just as kind of like a selling point to the camp.
So you're asking, okay, so I thought you were talking about, I was a bit confused at first. So you're asking if we can give a short list to a camp before we even open an opportunity with them?
Kind of. Yeah, I guess, sure.
I would say like, probably not with like applicant names or anything like that, but like you could show them like, you could explain to them like the kind of backgrounds that we like do like receive applications for, because what I would say is that like within reason we can select people based on like their preferences. So if they want people that have experience working with kids, like we can definitely do that. But like we wouldn't have people to give to them if there was no like we wouldn't have a short list to give to them if they didn't have an open opportunity, because there would be no one to be applying for anything. So I would just kind of let them know like that the kind of profiles we can source are people that have like good English skills, people that have worked with kids before, people that are interested in like the sustainable development goals and making an impact. But
there's pretty much like a guideline for all the volunteers that they will follow the standard, because like you just mentioned like a certain sect of international programs. So we can pretty much guarantee them like that those type of abilities in anything.
I mean, I would be careful using the word guarantee, but I would say that like we will do our best to source based on their preferences. And also there's a thing called a job questionnaire, and it basically asks them like, what is your preference? So, like, what kind of a profile are you looking for in a volunteer? And once they fill that out, like, that's what we post online. So people who have that kind of profile should be applying. And then also, like, when we do the shortlisting and stuff, we can see like if they need to submit a CV, and we can review CVs and check like what their background is. We can check like people who have like excellent English skills. So that's kind of like also like one of the perks of working with ISIC is that we actually source people based on their preferences. It's not like they have to go and do all the work themselves. Like, we can handle that for them.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Good question. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys the approval thing, but give me 1 second. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for 1 sec because I realize that people's contact info is on here and I don't want to show that. So let me just black it out for 1 second. Okay. Okay. Cool. So this is what the approval tracker looks like. Oh shoot, I did it for the wrong LC. 1 sec. It's not totally updated. I haven't gone in and like checked every like IR partner applicant within like the last 48 hours. So I do need to do that. But ideally, like, the approval members will actually be doing this, and I can help at first. But basically, this is what it looks like. These parts would not normally be blacked out. I just didn't want to show you. But basically, you'll see here that we'll like list the position. So in this case, it's a summer counselor. This is the camp name. And then I'll put all of the applicants' names here. And then I will let you know. I'm only going to put IR partners here. I'm not going to let you know if someone from like Austria applies, because like those are not the people we're trying to work with. And I will like put their home entity. So I'll put the country, and then I'll put the LC. And so you can also see like if it's in red, it means that like that's not an LC we work with in that country. But if it's in green, then it is. And so then the applicant email will be here. The EP managers, sometimes there's 2 EP managers. Their contact info should go here. And then basically you guys need to mark whether or not they were contacted. Yes, no. I would put in the question mark because I wouldn't know if they were contacted. But like I said, I can update this at first, and then the approval members are supposed to be doing it. And so then we put the status. So what status are they in? Are they approved? Are they just in the applied stage? Are they in progress? Are they accepted? Whatever it says on EXPA, list that here. And then basically the next 3 questions, you're only actually going to have to fill out 2 of the 3 for each person, because someone only either needs the visa or the ESTA. And you put the like status of that here. And when we say not received, we mean it's not on the PODIO like the PODIO form that we require it to be. Or if it's not applicable, it's because they are visa waiver. And so then we would say, do they have the ESTA application number submitted? And if not, then it's not received. And then not applicable, we just put that for anyone that would it wouldn't relate to. And then everyone would need to fill out the passport. And so, for example, for one applicant, I saw that her visa expires just 2 weeks after the opportunity ends. So that's just kind of a red flag, because we need to make sure that she's actually going to like book her flight ticket back before her visa expires, because that's kind of cutting it close. So that's just like, if there's any kind of notes like that, then we'll put that in here. Does anyone have questions about this? Okay, cool. And then here's the link for where the travel documents must be submitted. Let's see here. So this is like what the external form looks like. So when you send this to an EP, this is what it looks like. It'll say which local committee is hosting the exchange. They'll put it in. And then they need to fill out all this information, their first name, middle name, if they have one. Like if they don't have one, they'll just say none. And then they need to put in their birth date, their passport number, the expiration date, their visa control number. And if they don't have one, just put in 0. And then the expiration date for the visa. And then if they have if they're visa waiver, then their ESTA application number. And then basically they just need to attach proof of everything below. So they can attach multiple files. So this is where they would put a screen, like a scan of their passport or a scan of their visa. And so this is something that they submit. This is something you send to them. And we make sure that we don't approve anyone until they submit all this documentation and that we've reviewed it. So the last thing, yeah, that's actually it. as far as like all of the processes go, I know it is a lot. So before we get into like expectation setting, which I would like to cover, do any of you guys have questions? And if not, you guys are more than welcome to like message me personally on WhatsApp. I'm pretty good at responding quickly, so you guys can do that as well, or you can ask it in the approval member chat. But basically what I want to talk about now is shifting gears a little bit. I want to talk about expectation setting. The approval member thing is kind of like a new thing that we're doing. Before we were going to have like 2 teams that were like, one team was focused just on sales and the other team was going to be focused on like global host promotion and then like doing all the approvals and everything. But because most teams didn't recruit enough people to actually like have 2 teams within them, that's why we now have like the approval member. And so I just want to set like expectations about things that I would like to see from the approval members, and then I'd also like to hear like what the approval members expect from me. So the first thing in terms of my expectations are that you guys have very quick communication with entity partners and myself. Having good communication skills is like probably the biggest thing needed for this role, in addition to being like detail oriented. But really, like our IR partners work really fast. Just like for context, like ISIC US, like in pretty much on like every product, works a lot slower than most countries globally, and that means that we need to try and like quicken up our processes and also like our communication. And then also just like honesty. If something goes wrong, like I'm never gonna get mad at you, but like if you accidentally accepted an Egyptian applicant who didn't actually have a visa and the camp wanted them, then like let me know and we'll figure out a solution. Like I'm never gonna get mad at you for it, but like I need to know what's going on because a lot of this stuff like has to do with like like visas and like just like legal stuff, and I want to make sure that I can help you guys do that as much as possible. And then just like communicate with me as often as needed. Don't be afraid to ask me a lot of questions. I promise you I will never get annoyed by it. If anything, like I'll be happy that you feel comfortable asking me, and that like you just want to make sure that like you're doing the best job possible, because it really doesn't bother me if you ask me questions. I'm really happy to help, and I want to help. And then the other thing is stick to the standard operating procedure. So that's what the SOP is. So that's just like the whole thing we covered just now was that flow. So like stick to that, refer to that, like let that be your Bible for approvals, because I swear it'll make your life a lot easier. And if you ever have a question, like 99% of the time, it can probably be answered by looking at that guide. So make sure that you stick to that. And then lastly is have empathy towards our entity partners and their applicants. These are people that are applying because they really want to come here, and like it's easy to just be like, this person's like annoying me, I just feel like rejecting them. Like, but in reality, it's probably just because like maybe they're contacting you a lot, but in reality, it's just because like they're really excited about the opportunity and they really want to come here to the US and volunteer. So just have empathy, because I know sometimes, or at least recently, some people have been getting like frustrated with the IR partners because like they contact us a lot, but it's because they're really like excited to work with us and their applicants want to come here. So just have empathy for them. And if you do for them, then they'll also have it for you. So what I want to know is what your guys' are like expectations are of me, and I will like write it down here and everything to like hold myself accountable to it. But does anyone feel comfortable sharing like what your expectations are of me? If not, I will just assume.
I guess just like fast response time.
Okay, good. Thank you. Anything else?
Sometimes I have a hard time making decisions, so like a backup opinion.
Okay. Cool. Anything else? Well, something to know is that I will make sure that like everything I expect of you, like I also expect of myself. So anything that I would like I would never ask you guys to do anything I wouldn't do myself. So for all the expectations I have for you guys, I also hold them to myself. But just like the last thing actually that I want to set as an expectation is that I will be working with you guys very closely, the approval members, because I know a lot of you guys are new members and this is like a new thing for you. So just like know that like I will have a lot of communication with you guys. And that's just like an expectation I want to set so that you're not like overwhelmed by how much I'm contacting you. But if it does ever get overbearing and you don't need me to be contacting you that much, then please let me know. Just be honest. So that's it for all of like the educational content. I open the space now for any questions of any kind, even if it's not about approval stuff, that's fine. But do you guys have questions of any kind?
Will that like presentation be shared with us?
Yes, so I will send the link in the approval member chat, and then it's also going to be on the hub. This whole thing has been recorded too, so it'll be on YouTube, but you'll also have like the Google Slides for this so that you will have like all of the links that you need when doing approvals. So like you'll have all the Podio form links, you'll have like the State Department links, all of it. Like anything that's underlined in the presentation is a link.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Anyone else? Okay, well, it's okay if you don't have any at the moment. I know it was like an overload of information. So like I said, feel free to reach out after individually or in the approval member chat. But just know that you guys have a really awesome job because you get to work directly with the applicants and you get to work with people from all over the world. And like when I was LCP, I never actually ran any, like my LC never ran any like ICX products. So like I'm jealous that you guys get to do this because like I personally never did. And it's a really awesome opportunity. So just like take advantage of it and be grateful of it. And yeah, I'm really excited to work with you guys. Thank you so much for attending. I will make sure to follow after this. You guys are good to go.
Okay,
enjoy your
bye.
night.
Thank you. Enjoy your night.
Welcome. Bye guys. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks guys.